convicted in the worst way. Now, on our ranch, there are a few jobs that I absolutely love. Straddling a horse and training one. From ground zero to ready for the cow ring. Love doing that. Getting on a tractor and shredding the whole pasture. Love it. Lots of face time with God there. The things I do not particularly care for. Okay, one thing I absolutely despise is clearing a fence row. I would rather somebody beat me with a baseball bat, have to go out there with a axe and a chainsaw and clear a stinking fence row. That being said, our lease pasture houses a dozen horses that some, give or take, depending on what we're doing with them. It's 40 acres big. There are posts, there are corner braces, there are posts, there's wire. So, for all intents and purposes, it is fenced. Now, the people we're leasing it from bought it from a rancher quite a few years ago, and he's the one that put this fence up. So, somewhere between 50 and 80 years ago, this fence went up. So, my horses are held in by an illusion. There are posts, there is wire, there are corner braces. Every time there's a wind, every time it has an ice storm or something, inevitably, there are limbs that fall on that fence. And I take my spool of wire and my fencing pliers and a few staples, and I head out there and I patch the fence. So, if you look at my fence, think of a patchwork quilt. Brown fence, silver fence, brown fence, silver fence, no fence, brown fence. And so, I have been patching this thing now for 12 years. A young man who does fencing for a living, he says, Mr. J, I could get the materials for this fence for, a lot less than you'd think. I've priced barbed wire. I'm saying, brother, I know what it costs to refence this 40 acres. That's, way up there. He said, no, see, you're doing it wrong. You need to use this kind of fence. You can do it for a quarter of the cost. I was all for that. And that's what I'm going to do, by golly. Every once in a while, I'll get my chainsaw, my axe, and I'll go out there and I'll clear 3 or 4 trees. And I'm thinking, if I had a bulldozer, we would rename these trees to firewood. But whittling them out one by one is just not my favorite thing in the world. And I have been happy. I've been happy with patching my fence. Every time my neighbor calls me up and goes, hey, you got a horse out on me. I'll go over and I'll get her back in and I'll patch the fence. So I've been complacent. Complacent, definition is showing smug or uncritical satisfaction with oneself or one's accomplishments. I am satisfied with my ability to not put that fence up. I guess I feel apathetic toward that fence. Definition of apathy is lack of interest, enthusiasm, or concern. That's me and clearing the fence row. I don't mind putting the fence up, but don't get me wrong. I will string wire with no problem. It's just clearing that fence row is giving me a hassle. So, God starts talking to me. We're going to go to Matthew. Matthew chapter 25. I'll give you all a few minutes to turn there. I guess I should have told you all that before I started talking. Matthew 25. This is what happens when you get complacent. See, more and more people are turning pages. I love this. I love this. I think it was that one time I recited Shakespeare up here and somebody looked at me kind of crossways. All right. Christ is talking in parables. We're going to do all parables today. At that time, the kingdom of heaven will be like 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish, and 5 were wise. The foolish ones took their lamps but did not take any oil with them. The wise, however, took oil in jars along with their lamps.
25 what?
1. Sorry.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
Don't you read my mind yet?
No.
Come on. Women are supposed to have ESPN or something. Come on. Okay. I'll go back to number 1. At that time, the kingdom of heaven will be like 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish and 5 were wise. Foolish ones took their lamps but did not take any oil with them. The wise, however, took oil in jars along with their lamps. The bridegroom was a long time in coming, and they all became drowsy and fell asleep. I'm going to have to stop there. I have never, ever, ever, ever been to a wedding where we waited on the groom, okay? I just want to stand in and make sure everybody realizes that. They made that song, Waiting on a Woman, for a reason. But we're going to go back, digress. Okay. So they all became drowsy and fell asleep. At midnight, the cry rang out, "Here's the bridegroom. Come out to meet him." All the virgins took and trimmed their lamps. The foolish ones said to the wise, "Give us some of your oil. Our lamps are going out." "No," they replied, "there may not be enough for both us and you. Instead, go to those who sell oil and buy some for yourselves." But while they were out, on their way to buy the oil, the bridegroom arrived. The virgins who were ready went in with him to the wedding banquet, and the door was shut. Later the others also came. "Sir, sir," they said, "open the door for us." But he replied, "I tell you the truth, I do not know you. Therefore keep watch, because you do not know the hour." Excuse me, you don't know the hour. What's he talking about here? Was he talking about an actual wedding? Probably the way they did weddings back then. But what he was really saying was, you got to pay attention to what God tells you to do. He gives you a task. He gives you a task to complete. I was reading something about an old sailor who was saying, talking about wake up in the morning and make your bed. Just for the record, I don't do that anymore. My wife does that. But he says, you start each day with a completed task. Well, I like that analogy, because every task completed gets you further and further to a finished product. In our life, God has given us certain tasks, and He wants us to be diligent. He wants us to be faithful, and He wants us to do the right thing. I guess I am reminded of an Army acronym. They call it the 5 Ps. I will leave one of them out. They say prior planning prevents poor performance. And that's true. 5 of these girls had oil in a jar. 5 of them didn't. Now, the oil in their lamp, I guess they had to wait for the bridegroom, and they needed to see which way to go to get in the door. But 5 of them were prepared. Prepared for the happenings that he don't come in a timely manner. 5 of them were not. 5 of them made it to the completed task and the reward. 5 of them had to go back. Like my mother said, if you don't have time to do it right the first time, when are you going to have time to do it over? So Christ was talking to them. He talks another time. This is in Luke, by the way. Luke chapter 12, verse 35. Luke chapter 12, verse 35. You got that over there? So you didn't have to read my mind that time. Christ was talking in a parable. He said, be dressed and ready for service and keep your lamps burning, like men waiting for their master to return from a wedding banquet. So that when he comes and knocks, they can immediately open the door for him. But it will be good for those servants whose master finds them watching when he comes. I tell you the truth, he will dress himself to serve. He will have them recline at the table and will come and wait on them. It will be good for those servants whose master finds them ready. But even if he comes in the second or third watch of the night. But understand this, if the owner of the house had known at what hour the thief was coming, he would not have let his house be broken into. You also must be ready, because the Son of Man will come at an hour when you do not expect him. You gotta love this, because Peter just asks him, right after that, Peter says, Lord, are you telling me this? Are you telling this parable to us or to everyone? It's like, okay, Pastor, were you preaching this sermon to the folks on this side or folks, everybody? You know, I mean, who's actually supposed to listen to this? So the Lord tells him another parable. He doesn't just answer him outright. He tells him another parable. The Lord answered, Who then is the faithful and wise manager, whom the master puts in charge of his servants to give them food allowance at the proper time? It will be good for that servant whom the master finds doing this when he returns. I tell you the truth, he will put him in charge of all his possessions. But suppose a servant says to himself, my master's taking a long time in coming. Then he begins to beat the men servants and the maid servants, and eat and drink and get drunk. The master of that servant will come on a day when he does not expect him, and in an hour when he is not aware of. He will cut him to pieces and assign him a place with the unbelievers. That servant who knows his master's will, that servant who does his master's will, and does not get ready, who knows his master's will and does not get ready, or does not do what his master wants, will be beaten with many blows. But the one who does not know and does things deserving punishment will be beaten with few blows. From everyone who has been given much, much will be demanded. And from the one who has been entrusted with much, much more will be asked. Moms, dads, if you have a child, the child does not know that when you've got the TV sitting on a TV tray, that's what it's for, right? They don't know that they're not supposed to pull on that little cord in the back. So what do? Tell them, don't do that? Or do you pop them on the hand? Don't touch that. I guess nowadays you do that and you go to jail, right? No. Pop them on the hand, so don't touch that. My favorite is when they start to put the bobby pin in the light socket or in the plug-in. What Jeff Barksworthy say? Peel the insulation off. Say, here, stick it in now. No, you pop their hand. Tell them stop. Because they don't know, you have to correct them. But it is a correction that warrants discipline. Now, when they're 16 and they're laying underneath that TV tray, jerking on that cord, that's when you take the taser. I'm joking. That's when you, well, at that time, at 16, they better know better. So I want to go back to say about 12. That's when you pick them up off the floor, get you a nice piece of leather, and light them up. And say, now, would you like to pull on that again? I'm not saying that every time a child misbehaves, you need to spank them. Sometimes it's not warranted. The punishment fits the crime, right? In training horses, if I'm trying to mount and my horse moves, I correct him. Pull him back, stop him. I'll pull his head around and mount up. If I go to mount and my horse kicks me, I change his world. He learns. Punishment fits the crime. What he's saying is, what Christ is saying is, if you deserve punishment, you will get it. But if you know what's wrong, and you do it anyway, you're really going to get it. Because he entrusted us to perform a task loyally. Oh, God, I can't even think of words now. Being loyal. Faithfully. Thank you. He expects us to complete a task faithfully. The right way. Because this time, you're not going to have a chance. When it comes down to you meeting the Lord in face-to-face and in front of Him, and you ain't got time to go back and do it over. That's it. We have to do what God has entrusted us to do. What has He entrusted us to do? First thing He's entrusted us to do is follow Him. Follow Him. Accept that Christ died on the cross. I think there's when we teach the kids, we say it's the ABCs of Christianity. Admit that you're a sinner. Believe Christ died on the cross. God raised Him from the dead. And confess Him as your Savior. Admit, believe, and confess. That is the first thing He wants us to do. That starts us off on our task. The next thing is, we need to learn. We need to follow His guidance by getting on our knees and in this Bible and learn what God has for us. And third, He wants us to gather others into this fold. Spiritually, procreation. Steve's talking about the property that we're trying to get. That's a great place. We've been here for 13 years, and this is great. Don't plan on leaving here completely. What about the rest of the community? How can we reach them? How can we spiritually procreate God's kingdom throughout this community? How do we do this? In 1 Chronicles, you don't have to turn here, but you can write this down and matter of fact, do it. 1 Chronicles 4. 1 Chronicles 4. I want to show you how God rewards, or how God acknowledges His servants who are faithful. 1 Chronicles 4. What verse? What verse? How about verse 9? I got to pick on her. She raises ponies, so she has lots of patience. Others say ponies have been teaching us patience since the beginning of time. 1 Chronicles 4:9. Now, if you read before and after this, you're going to read the word beget a lot. Because it's just giving a lineage. But all of a sudden, right in the middle of this begat section, where he's telling who is whose son and daughter and second cousin twice removed, it says, Jabez was more honorable than his brothers. His mother had named him Jabez, saying, I gave birth to him in pain. Jabez cried out to the God of Israel, Oh, that you would bless me and enlarge my territory. Let your hand be with me and keep me from the harm, so that I will be free from pain. And God granted his request. He didn't say first Jabez called out to God and said, Will you expand my territory? The first thing he says, Jabez was more faithful, more honorable than his brothers. And then he cried out. That means we have to do what's right. We have to follow God. We have to do His will. And when we say, God, would you expand our territory? Whether it be spiritually, whether it be what you would have me do, whatever. God, expand this territory. He's faithful to us. I worked for many supervisors when I was in the Army. And I learned that there are some who had I don't know how you would say this, a superiority complex. You will do what I say, when I say, because I said. If you don't do it, I'm going to crucify you. If you do it and you do it correctly, I won't crucify you. I've had lots of bosses like that. Not a lot got accomplished. I've also had bosses that said, hey, look, we got a task to perform. You need to get this done. Sometimes they got down there, rolled their sleeves up, and got in it with us. Sometimes they rewarded us by giving us time off. That's the way you reward soldiers, give them time off, right? You rewarded us by giving us time off after. Be faithful to us and saying that, look, these guys work till 10 o'clock at night. So the next day, come in at noon. That's reward. Trust me. They got a lot accomplished. First, the subordinates were faithful in doing what the Spirit said, so the supervisor said, and doing it correctly, and doing it in a timely manner. Then they were rewarded. Go back to that first step. The first task God has for us is to admit that we're a sinner. Believe Christ died on the cross and was risen from the dead, and confess Him as our Savior. That is a three-step process. You cannot have one without the other. You have to do all three. I say this a lot. Romans 10:9 said, if you confess with your mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart God raised Him from the dead, you will be saved. How can you admit that God is that Christ is Lord? How can you confess that? You first have to acknowledge that you ain't. First thing I know is I ain't God. I'm as broke as everybody else. It doesn't cost anything. You can't work for it. You can't steal it. You can only accept it. It's a free gift. It's a prayer. Just say a prayer and accept a relationship. Accept a relationship between you and God. Follow me in this prayer. Lord, I know that I'm broke. Lord, I know that I've done wrong, and I've been doing wrong. Lord, I want to stop. I believe with all my heart that Christ came into this world, lived a perfect life, died on the cross, spent 3 days in the grave, was risen. I believe He lives today and He's coming back. I confess Him as my Savior. And I ask you to fill me up with your Holy Spirit. Walk with me. Lead me while I'm here on this earth. You guide me right into your arms when I leave. I ask this in your Son's holy name. Amen. You started. If you said this prayer, you started on a task that it's amazing. Your rewards are really amazing.